Girls here. Thanks for coming on today's episode. This week, like every week, I'll be talking about natural living and healthy tips that will get you to rethink how you live and what products or habits you can easily change to better your life. So let's get started. Hey, Urban Wisdom fans, I hope you are doing awesome. Well, this week we're going to talk about how to freeze and make sweet corn. So this is for gardeners, urban wisdom fans, and it's another gorgeous day on the farm here. We went from like 100 degrees to fall type weather, and I love it. So it's also that time of year where the garden is producing all kinds of golden, delicious splendor. Now, speaking of golden, today we are learning how to make and freeze sweet corn. As with canning and freezing most produce, it's not difficult, it just takes a little time. Although freezing sweet corn goes pretty quickly, the batch size will determine how long it actually takes. Now, I'm going to give you a list of items you will need to make and freeze the sweet corn. Number 1, obviously corn. Number 2, sugar. Then we need salt, butter, water, 2 bowls or 1 bowl and a cake pan, knife of your choice, garbage can or animals who like scraps, quart freezer bags, a ladle, funnel, which is optional, but I highly recommend it, a pot, and a large spoon. Now that you have what you need, the first step is to shuck the corn. After you have shucked all of the corn and have taken the silks off, put the ears of corn in your sink and wash them off. Once they are washed and all remaining silks removed, sometimes there's some stragglers in there, bring them to your work area to begin cutting the corn off the cob. Using your large bowl or cake pan for this and your knife of choice, start cutting from the top and work your way down. You guys, I have this big bowl. It's kind of like a popcorn bowl. It's metal. And I just set the corn in the middle of it so as I'm cutting down, it just kind of falls to the side and it doesn't make a big mess all over the place. Now, while cutting, place the empty cobs in another bowl to take out to the animals or throw them away in the garbage can, your choice. Once all of the corn is off the cob, it is now time to start measuring the loose corn, then dump it into your large pot, which should be on your stove. The stove should not be turned on at this point, just sitting there, okay? So I'm going to give you the recipe for a single batch. I always double it or quadruple it, but I just want to give you the basics so you know where to start. So for a single batch, it's 8 cups of corn, 2 cups of water, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon salt, a 1/4 pound or 1 stick of butter. Now measure your corn first to determine if you will have a single, double, or triple batch. Once that is determined, you can now measure the other ingredients accordingly. So I should have said this earlier, but once you have all the loose corn in your bowl, that's when I get out the measuring cup and I measure before dumping it into the large pot so you don't have to go back and forth a second time. Now, after all of the items are measured or ingredients and in your large pot, stir often with your large spoon. You want to heat the mixture on medium-high heat until you bring the corn mixture to a boil. Then boil it for 5 minutes and remove it from the heat. Your next step is to cool the corn. This can be done a couple different ways. You can fill a large bowl. You can use that same bowl that you would, put your corn in. Now you're just going to put some ice in it and then set your pot in the bowl with ice so that it can cool. You want to stir frequently to release steam just because that allows it to cool faster and corn kind of keeps it in. Then you want to scoop your corn into cake pans and place it in the fridge to cool. So that's the second option, is just to scoop it into these cake pans because it's a little more spread out and it won't take as long. Now, after your sweet corn has cooled, it is time to scoop the mixture into your freezer bags. Now, I would suggest using a funnel for this part to keep the stickiness of the corn away from where it seals on the bag. With each bag 3/4 full or less, that's how full you want it, with a ladle or spoon, you're going to seal the bag and then lay it flat on a cookie sheet. Now, you can mark your bags with a proper date before or after your corn is in them. Please put all of your corn in your freezer when bagged and on a cookie sheet or sheets. After the corn is frozen, you can take them off of the cookie sheet. This is just to help you guys. You're going to notice how nicely they stack in the freezer because you froze them evenly and flat. So if you just go to shove a corn, it's kind of bulky and you're sitting it on, and it's just going to clump up and it's not going to be even. And for those anal retentive people or just people who like space in their freezer, lay them flat on a cookie sheet first and then freeze them. Now, last but not least, pull the corn out of the freezer and you can use as desired. You guys, you are now an expert on how to make and freeze sweet corn. I love you guys, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Urban Wisdom and Natural Living. Tune in next week where I'll broadcast live every Monday morning at 8 a.m. If you miss it live, hold those tears and head on over to my blog, which is heatherearles.com. That's Heather, EARLES.com. There you can have 24/7 access or right here on iTunes. If you want to follow me on social media, you'll find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. Have a healthy week.